So thank you all for joining me today. My name is Axelle Vertommen. I'm an interior architect and a furniture designer, and I will talk a bit about my trajectory as a freelance designer. I thought it would be fun to share some inspiration first. These are all pictures that I took already a few years ago. Most of the photos are taken in Antwerp or in Florence, and I think it's important that you just look around and look at the things that surround you. It can be very small things that inspire me, but I also tend to visit modernist and postmodernist buildings to see nice things. Today I will show you in my presentation like in two parts. So first I will talk about objects I've designed, and those are all like mostly individual projects. And then the interiors I mainly design together with Dries Otte. And it's for me it's two different, but at the same time also worlds that connect. The objects I design, I try to design them for as many people as possible. I try to make it affordable, the things I make. And on the other hand, the interiors are designed for a specific user, and it's also created into an existing context. So those are two different things. Maybe interesting to explain my studies. I knew from an early age that I wanted to be a furniture designer. In Belgium, you don't have an education for that on a bachelor degree. So I started interior architecture, and I already knew that in the master year you had an elective where you could design a chair, so I went for that. And after that, I also added a year of furniture design education. It's an extra course you can follow in Mechelen. And from there on, I started working first in a workshop where they construct wooden furniture pieces, but later on, and some wanderings later, I started working as a freelance designer, first for a lot of firms, and now only for Dries Otte for 6 years already. And I'm also an assistant teacher at the university in Antwerp. For the objects I design, I try to be very critical towards myself in the first place, but also towards the industry. And I think that you need something extra to produce a certain piece right now. We have so many products in the world, so you really need to invent something that makes it different and worth to put material on it. And that's also why I don't have as much objects yet as I would love to, because it's a process that takes time, and the ideas need to grow. They need to mature to really make a piece that stands out. I thought it would be fun to start with my first object ever. It's a chair, and it's designed during the elective in the master year. And I started out by picking out references that inspired me. So I went looking for chairs with 3 legs or with armrests, because it makes a whole lot of difference whether the chair, is the concept is 3 legs or 4 legs. Also foldable chairs still inspire me today. And the material is also very important. I tend to lean towards metal furniture because it can be very elegant. But 1.5 years ago, I also started a woodworking course to really get the elegance and the finesse of wood as well. After all the references, I started sketching, and as you can see, I'm not the best sketcher, but the scribbles help me to remember my first ideas. And then after that, of course, I need to make small models, and I think the chair is one of the most difficult things I've ever designed, because it should be comfortable, it should be light, it should look good. So there are a lot of extras, maybe mainly the comfort that are important. Then I made a prototype just to see what the volume is, and to see that the proportions are right. And during the process, it became clear that I wanted to make a tubular steel chair. And the tubular steel chairs date back from the 1930s and the Bauhaus era. And that's almost 100 years ago, so it was my task to do something else with it and make the evolution complete. And that is why I adapted a bending tool, as you can see, because I didn't want to get the wrinkles here. That's a chair of Jean Prouvé, and it's typical when you bend metal that's at the inside of the where you bend it, you get the wrinkles, but I didn't want that. And also I wanted it to be very elegant. So regularly the tubes are like 16 or 18 millimeters diameter, and if you bend it with a regular tool, the bow is like 3 times the radius is 3 times the radius of the tube. And with this tool, I searched for a specific type of tube, and I made the radius smaller so it can be as elegant as I wanted it to be. Then we started bending 2 symmetrical pieces and then welded it together. And the back and seats are also made in the same, it's the same dimension, so you can switch it. And to make the seating and the back cover stable, I invented a straining system. So you have tubes where you can that you can turn, and then you fix the back and the seats. And thanks to the cables, it stays flexible, so you won't damage the fabric. And I made several covers for several situations, like the tarpaulin can stand outside. The one with the carpet is an upcycled version. And the chair, I was lucky enough to show the chair at the Design Week in Milan in 2015, and also at the Design Museum of Ghent. But unfortunately, it's quite a complex piece, and it's until now there's only one item produced yet. So with that in mind, I started to design less complex furniture pieces. Then another design I made at the furniture design course, I wanted to diversify the type of, once again, I wanted to think about what a cabinet is, and you have custom-made cabinets that fit into your room, or you have freestanding furniture. But I wanted to combine both typologies and get rid of all the disadvantages that both typologies bring. So I wanted to make a furniture piece that is modular, is easy to move, and can grow together with you, and can adapt to your life. So I started thinking about techniques, how you can move 2 rigid pieces, and I didn't want to make it too complex, so I thought about harmonica or sliding systems. And after some tryouts, it became clear that I wanted to make a box, a box and a closed cabinet combined with a movable rack. And so when you move it, different functions appear. And then during the production process, I had the chance to do it at a workshop where we made flowcharts of each piece we produced, and we produced it by ourselves. So I really know every small part of the cabinets. And here you can see the final result. So I designed 4 types of boxes that you can put together in any way you like, and then the metal rack just slides. And you can make your cabinet grow or make it smaller if you need it. Then a more recent design is inspired by the Brion Cemetery of Carlos Carpa. And I was intrigued by all the angles and corners in this design, and I thought about the corner in an interior, and that not a lot of people are doing something with it. So I thought, we have lamps and they hang at the ceiling or stand on the floor or on the table, but why is it never hanging in the corner? So I designed one shape of lamp in several sizes that you can hang in the corner, but also hang anywhere else. And just wanted to implement it in a place in the interior that is not as typical. So I made a metal lamp bended in corners, and the light source is hidden in the central parts. And because I didn't want to affect the lighting color, the outside is white and the inside doesn't affect the light color. So this could be any color you like. And then thanks to an event by Med Brussels, where they connected designers with producers, I was able to get this lamp into production. So the French firm that I didn't know at the time, Matériaux, they are specialized in bending steel, and they also love color. So they presented the lamp at Salone del Mobile this last year. And you can order the lamp in any color, everything you want, you can choose by yourself. Sometimes I'm just looking for a product that I can't really find at the market. So we slept on a sofa bed at our place for 3 years, and after that we wanted some extra comfort. But as you can see, there are cushions on the headrests because it's actually a sofa, and I wanted to implement it in the bed I was designing. So the design of the bed consists of a wooden frame that is easily dismounted with 2 cushions in the back where you can sit upright and watch Netflix for as long as you'd like. And the cushions are made in 2 colors, so back and front are different, so you can choose which color setting fits at the moment. It's a small video, it's in Dutch, but
Toen ik zelf op zoek was naar een krabpaal, bleek het super moeilijk zijn om een mooie krabpaal te vinden. Ofwel zijn ze heel goedkoop en super lelijk, ofwel zijn ze duur design, maar super spacey. En ik vond het een raar gegeven dat eigenlijk mensen heel veel geld geven aan hun interieur. Maar zo'n dingen als krabbalen, dat staat wel in hun interieur, kan super aanwezig zijn. Maar eigenlijk zijn er weinig dingen voor op de markt.
So once again, I started from my own need, or actually my cat's need, to design an object that I couldn't find in a shop that I liked. So I started sketching scratching posts, and it's a specific thing because it's playful, but it's also made to be destroyed. So you can make it look very good, but in some time the cat will scratch on it and it will become different. So I did a lot of tests, and my cats also did a lot of tests. And when I started it, I designed pieces that didn't work at all. The proportions were totally wrong because it's made to measure for a cat, and it's not easy to think in the size of a cat. But after that, I redesigned it, and I came up with 4 scratching posts because I really wanted to make a statement. People spend so much money to their interiors that they stop once it's about their pets, or they spend a whole lot of money for futuristic looking with scratching poster accessories for pets. So Currently, I only make the 2 left scratching posts because the other ones aren't really as stable as they should be to be transported. They're stable enough for a cat, but it's not so easy to ship the items. But I really want to evolve them and make them even more easy to send. And it's very interesting to start from scratch and design a new piece of furniture. This is an example from in school where we took like an ironing board from the we took an old ironing board and added shelves and made a new furniture piece with it. And the same for this project. We worked together with Vitra and we could receive some elements of furniture pieces. And the idea was to put it out of the context and make a new piece with it. So the first one was a table leg from the Jean Prouvé table. And I didn't want to use it as a table leg, but instead it became the centerpiece of a shelf where the connection normally is with the other legs. Here it becomes a hanging point towards a wall. And it's not the best looking prototype ever, but it's a nice image to show that you can reinvent one particular shape in another context. And the same for the marshmallow cushion. I thought about it a lot, but actually I could only use it as a cushion because it's soft and the shape, it's just a cushion. So I used 2 round cushions, and in contrast I put a wooden box on the opposites, and I connected it with a frame in metal. And in the box you can find a mirror that can pivot, a drawer and jewelry storage. So it became a makeup table. And once again, by isolating the cushions, it became a totally different object. Recently, I got the same sort of question. In Ghent, there was a design festival, and the idea was to put upcycled pieces into the shop window of several design stores. So I could look into the archive of a furniture store, and I saw all these amazing postmodern elements of furniture pieces. But the shop owner, she explained to me that when Frits Hanse's share of Arne Jacobsen breaks, the entire shell has to be thrown away. It can't be fixed easily. It's just you need to buy a new shell and that's it. And it was quite sad because in the archive there were all like damaged shells that didn't have any function anymore. So I thought of using the shell instead of all the cool objects that were there, and I went for something that's very recognizable. So it was my goal to make it less recognizable. And for the design, I got inspired by the lighthouse of one of Arne Jacobsen's design for Bellevue Beach. So I made several compositions, but I decided to stay true to the lighthouse, and I put the seating shell in a different position than you normally see it, and also I put it like way higher so you actually see the bottom of the chair, and now I think it's less recognizable that it came from the chair. And where normally the legs are attached, here you can find the lamp fitting instead. Not every design I make comes from a higher view. Sometimes, this was my first piece I ever designed and was able to sell. And it's a coat rack inspired by the classical harmonic coat rack, but then with a funky twist. And maybe a bit of the same idea. I wanted to challenge myself and create something I've never done before. And that was a carpet. So I set a goal to design a carpet. And I'm not a graphic designer, so I didn't set the idea. I came up with something big, but I got inspired by architectural interiors. So the carpet is based on one of the most beautiful rooms in Villa Cavrois. It's designed by Robert Mallet Stevens, and I wanted to implement it in my own living room. So here you can see the results, and it's I made design in several colors, but this is the one that made it. Although I love to design on my own, it's hard to start and really finish a product. So that's why I entered some collaborations recently. The first one was during the pandemic. So together with Klaartje Bussolot, she's a textile designer, we had a lot of phone calls and meetings, digital meetings. And we decided to make a design based on the work of architect Julian Lampens. So I invented a type of ottoman with a table attached to it, inspired by his sleeping room in one of his most famous houses. And then Klaartje, on the other hand, she designed the textile, and she was inspired by the rainwater drains that are typical for Julian Lampens. So this is the result. It's a ottoman with a diameter of 1 meter, so you can put it in a residential context, in a living room, as well as in a public space. And then another collaboration is with another textile designer. It's Charlotte Thomas. We decided to reinvent another disintegrated item, the beanbag. So we wanted to design a cushion that doesn't really have a fixed position in your room. You can just throw it anywhere and use it, and throw it anywhere else. It's just a piece that works everywhere. It's maybe it looks a bit funny, but we started from the toilet paper roll, and you can roll apart the paper, and then we edit them back together, and then you get a rectangle. So by dismantling the toilet roll, we came up with the idea to make a cushion with a diagonal fold. So that was the start of the idea. And then Charlotte, as a graphic designer, she works in a very particular way. She prints out letters in a large scale and then starts cutting them. And we screen printed it on canvas. And this is the result. On the left, you can see the first part of it. So it's the cushion, and it folds, and you can put it towards a wall as well, so you have a back rest. But in a way, the cushion felt, it didn't seem right, and it was rather shapeless. So we decided to add a bolster to increase the comfort, but also make the volume more interesting. Then another type of collaboration I did back in 2018. I started working as a freelance designer, and I came in several places where I find all these beautiful designs, but none of the designers were able to sell their products. So I started a contemporary design store for a month, where I invited people I admire and I love their designs to show their designs for one week in the shop window. It was called Venster, which means shop window. So the first designers were Atelier Dialect, whom I worked at the time. They presented lamps and other freestanding objects. Then Lapt, I did my internship at their place, and they worked together with Belgian architects and artists to design furniture pieces. I also invited Dries Otte, with who I still work, and he showed like the cigarette lamp and the bench for the first time there. Then a collective from Brussels, Vormen, they focus on functional objects and make them themselves in a workshop in Brussels. And of course, I couldn't resist of showing my own objects. So it was maybe my first attempt to be able to show my objects and reach a wider audience. And then time for the interiors. As a freelance designer, I still get a lot of requests myself, but I also work together with Dries Otte like almost every day of the week. So it's quite a tough combination to divide which interior is strictly mine and which is from Dries. But the thing is, whenever I get a request right now that is too large, meaning larger than a kitchen or larger than a bathroom, I just send it to him and we work on it together. So that's how we do it nowadays. And we started doing that for a project of a friend of mine. It's a bookshop and a wine bar all together. So the ground level is bookstore, and we designed the book displays and the counter. Unfortunately, we weren't able to design the bookcases since the owner really wanted heavy German dark bookcases with letters. But anyway, it works in the building. In the basement, you can find the children's department, and we wanted to get rid as much as possible of the idea that we were in the basement. So we were really happy when we found the checkboard floor, and we added a bookcase with a round opening to make it a more enjoyable place for kids to pick out books. And then the wine bar is on the second floor, and it's a bit hidden. So we try to combine classic elements as the striped wallpaper and the dark green paneling with veneer that is a bit weird in the context, designed by Sotsas. And behind the counter, there are 3 arches that's where you can put the shelves and indirect lights. This is a very small project. It was more of a color, a color and material study for a bar in my street. The owners removed the false ceiling, and I had to come up with ideas very quick. So it's more about atmosphere and adding color and material to make a pleasant environment. This is a project we recently finished, Therese and I. It's a pop-up store called For the Love of Life. And it's in an empty building, one of the fancy streets of Antwerp. And it's actually a social project. So 2 sustainable second-hand stores were brought together by a project developer. And it's a place where people that can't afford expensive furniture, expensive clothing can come and shop in a street that they wouldn't enter normally. And Dries wanted to work with jumping bars for horses for a long time already, so it became the base for the clothing racks. And for the same developer, we also designed a student apartment. It's a small scale, small volume. So we added 2 times 3 arches, and in every arch there is a function. Here you can see it. So the first arch is the entrance, then the kitchen, and then a niche for the beds. And then on the other side you have the table and a sitting area. This is another project Dries and I designed together. It's in the Fashion Museum in Antwerp, the workshop space. And it's quite a weird space because it's large, but it has a really low ceiling. So we try to change the proportions by adding cabinets in a way that you create different volumes, and the low ceiling doesn't bother as much anymore. Also, it had to be flexible because you have several workshops for several ages of people, but also the working staff should have lunch there, and a lot of functions had to be combined. So we designed tables with wheels, so it's all very adaptable. And then here the yellow circle hides the ventilation of the room and even more rooms. And then behind the striped curtain there's a photo studio, so when you open the curtain you can have an actual photo studio. And then the metal slats serve as a magnetic wall. This is one of the first kitchens I designed on my own. So in the high-rise apartments, we removed a wall and instead we put semi-transparent cabinets. And most of the requests I get myself are from peers who don't have a lot of budget. So I try to come up with smart solutions, such as the curtains instead of furniture fronts. And a bit the same idea here. We removed the wall and made cabinets out of the actual door. So it's a functional cabinet in hallway and kitchen right now, instead of just a door to enter the kitchen. Then a project together with Dries. It's architecture from bluff architecte, and it's very dominant. So there are a lot of angles on 45 degrees and a lot of complex situations. But we decided to make it even more complex, and we added some more angles. The kitchen area is a triangle with cooker hoods in the shape of a pyramid, and also the refrigerator and all such things are in a cabinet that is in the shape of a triangle. A lot of our clients come with kitchens we designed, and they say, "Oh, I want this kitchen in my place." And we try not to do that, or we will not do that. So every time somebody asks to do such a thing, we just try to convince them and try to point out what they want. So what we often do is differentiate the different functions. So the wet area is one identity, the cooking area is a different one, the higher cabinets as well. And these clients also got a disco cooker hood. And I think the cooker hood is one of the things we love to play with. It's a technical thing that doesn't look really good, but actually you can just make a fun piece of it. It's at eye level, so it's very prominent. It can better look good. A very recent project is a mid-century bungalow in Amsterdam. We don't often can design like an entire interior, so we are always happy when we can design more than just the kitchen. And in this case, we also got to design a bathroom, but also the kitchen table, which was fun. I also, I went all the way when I was designing the door handles, so I included a fried egg. And then the table. Yeah, it's nice that everything comes together in a design. Sometimes we also just design freestanding pieces for clients. So here the client wanted a bar for drinks and also a desk. So here the functions are hidden. And yeah, it's a weird mix in the classic building. But I think it can work like this. Then the last subject is the offices we are designing. So this was the first one Dries and I ever did. It's in Brussels for Vibe. It's a support center for artists in the music sector, and they used to have only the right wing of the office, and they added the left one. And we added a yellow hallway to connect both. So the yellow hallway is all the way yellow, and the furniture pieces in both sides are have the same detailing but a different material. And then an office I did on my own together with Flore Fokkede. She's a textile and curtain designer. We set out the layout of the ground floor of the office, and we worked with several scenarios. So they wanted a meeting place on the ground floor, but also they wanted to be able to invite neighbors or create different scenarios than just work. So the curtain can provide several spaces by putting it in a different way. So here you can see the front view of the office, for which I also designed small tables. They are like only 60 centimeters, so it's quite small, but it's functional, and you can easily put them together. So you have wide conference tables, and the tabletops are finished differently on top and bottom, so you can also change the color, basically. This is also a type of office. It's a copy center, so yeah, print shop. We got carte blanche, Dries and I, and we decided to not make the print shop look like one. So we went for a more nostalgic vibe, and the printing machines are hidden in the back, and I think the atmosphere is a bit different than what you would expect from a print shop. And this is the last project, something we are currently working on, so I'm not able to show you the final pictures yet. I hope they are building it right now. It's an office for an advertising firm, and they picked a very specific office space with a weird shape, and it started off as a small competition. So I thought we should do something else than just put regular or in an angular way the desk and anything. So I decided to put an angle in it, facing towards the center of the part of the circle. And yeah, we were the only ones who thought in this way, and they liked that it's different than just the regular office. So we are currently trying to make it work. It's very dense. There are a lot of people that had to fit in, and there were a lot of functions that needed to be combined, as well as quite a small budget and sustainable background and everything. So it's been a hustle, but yeah, these are the images we've made. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the execution. Hopefully it will look a bit like this. That was it. Thank you all so much.